Welcome to InfoWars Nightly News. It's Thursday, November 8th, 2012. This is Mike Adams, the Health Ranger, filling in tonight. And here's a look at what we have straight ahead for you.
Tonight on the InfoWars Nightly News, the UN and President Obama use the Second Amendment as target practice. Then, the feds refuse to take their sticky fingers off the sticky green. Can the will of the people prevail? And Alex Jones can't avoid the Obamanoids.
God, you're nuts. You are a freaking wacko, you know that?
Mm-hmm, you bet. Crazy like a fox, too. Mm-hmm.
All that and more coming up on the InfoWars Nightly News.
All right, we've got one heck of a show lined up for you tonight. Lots of interviews and special reports straight ahead, as you just saw. Now, the first story for tonight is the rise of Obammunism. And why do we call it Obammunism? Because, of course, we are seeing a wave of communist type of mentality now emerging in the American culture. There has been a vote of confidence, you might say, for communistic type of economic policies. But more importantly, we're seeing the rise of violent rhetoric. That also indicates that we may be looking at a type of communism-oriented so-called cultural revolution in the years ahead if we let these people continue to promote violence and hate. And racism, of course, divide and conquer strategies. That's what they're good at. So be on the watch out for signs of communism in America. It is actually coming back. And we need to be on the lookout for it so that we can prevent it and restore liberty and freedom in America. That was more of a commentary than a news piece, but we do have news stories for you here. First, we have a story about the liberal media and the White House owing an apology to the preppers. As I said in this article, preppers are the new prophets, and those who live in a state of denial about preparedness are the new homeless. Now, we don't mean to blame people who've been victims of Hurricane Sandy, but there are a lot of people who didn't need to be victims. They simply failed to prepare, and thus they became victims. They didn't have to be. If they'd had stored food and water filters and stored water, emergency medical supplies, communications, even a backyard camp stove to boil water and cook food, then, you know, they wouldn't have become emergency victims in a dire situation requiring a government bailout, in a sense, a government rescue, a FEMA rescue. And I believe that because preppers have been attacked by the liberal media for so many years, and by the White House as well, which says that preppers are, in essence, terrorists, I think the liberal media and the White House owes preppers a massive apology. They should say, we're sorry for calling you kooks and conspiracy theorists. Turns out you were right. And being prepared for a storm is intelligent, and it actually saves lives. So keep that in mind as we move forward in a time of, well, lots of change and lots of unexpected crisis. Now, speaking of change, there was one change on the ballot in California. Prop 37, of course, sought to require the labeling of GMOs in grocery store foods sold throughout the state of California. Now, you probably already know that Prop 37 failed at the ballot box, not by much. It was only about a 6% margin. But it did fail, and you might be wondering, how could it have failed? Who would go to the ballot box and vote to say, I don't want to know what's in my food? Well, earlier today on the Alex Jones show, Alex said he doesn't trust the numbers, and he thinks there could have been voting fraud. That's definitely part of the explanation, but another part is that the No on 37 campaign, which collected $45 million in donations from the world's largest pesticide chemical companies, including Monsanto, DuPont, Dow, Bayer, BASF, and others, they used that money to run what could be criminally fraudulent, misleading, or deceptive campaigns, sending out a fabricated FDA quote, illegally using the FDA seal on a mailer that was mailed out to millions of California voters. And that's the image you're looking at right now. On top right, it says, quote, the U.S. Food and Drug Administration says a labeling policy like Prop 37 would be, quote, inherently misleading. And they say that's from the U.S. Food and Drug Administration with the FDA seal right next to it. But guess what, folks? That quote was completely fabricated. The FDA never said that. They made it up. Just as they made up many other mailers that were sent out to people impersonating, for example, police organizations, urging voters to vote no on Prop 37. So that's how they stole the election, by deceiving voters. Gee, we've never seen that in America before, have we? But anyway, this is coming back, folks. Prop 37 may have gone down, but Washington state now is looking at a similar proposition, and other states are in the early stages of looking at this. So rest assured that if we keep up this grassroots effort to simply know what we're eating, we will achieve victory sooner or later. So watch InfoWars and, of course, Natural News. We cover this in a lot of detail for more updates as that story develops.